So if you follow along with all the videos on the channel, you'll know that the HP laptop that I had has been replaced with the Zephyrus Duo. I ended up bringing it back to factory. I put the factory NVMe back in it, reinstalled Windows, cleaned it all up so I could sell it. This is the NVMe that was in it, so now I need new use for it. So now before I took this out, I did a fresh install of Windows. So this has Windows 10 fully installed on it, but then no drivers or anything set up. So this is just Windows 10 with my account and everything ready to go. This is an NVMe adapter that can plug in via USB. And as some of you might know, it's incredibly hard to try and install an actual full copy of Windows on a USB stick. So that way, if you just needed your Windows account for whatever reason, and you didn't want to sign in on someone else's computer, then you put a USB stick in other words, Windows to go, but you'd have your full copy of Windows, not a to-go copy, like the full everything ready to go. So that's where this comes in. Now, if you're looking at these by Orico, there's two different versions of this. There's the M.2, which it's kind of confusing when you're looking at them because it's NVMe M.2. The other one is M.2 SSD, which this one also says on it, but this one here, being the NVMe one, means that you get the full speed of NVMe, or at least as fast as USB 3.1 will allow, which is around 10 gigabyte per second, which is significantly faster than this drive is going to be able to perform. So basically, this enclosure right here combined with this drive is going to have the fastest possible speed with this drive through USB 3.1. So there really shouldn't be any performance loss at all running this on USB, which will end up giving it the best possible outcome for the most performance if you ever need to run benchmarking programs or something. I have no idea. The other variant that I saw of this, there's actually two. One of them may have been a typo, I'm not sure. It was USB 2.0 M.2 SSD, which uses the M channel connector on it. NVMe only has the single notch. A regular SATA M.2 drive will have the two notches, which these are somewhere between like 4 to 6 times faster than a regular SATA M.2 drive. So with that being said, now we just have to assemble it. So first we're gonna open this. We have the actual device itself right here. And underneath we have USB-C to USB-C, USB-C to USB-A, a thermal pad, little hold down grommet or something, and a screw. And then instructions and a little screwdriver. These just slide to open. And then once the NVMe is actually installed with the thermal pad on here, it has enough force that it holds itself closed and these don't fall apart in your bag. So now we have to remove this. And now, like I mentioned, this is the SX8200 that was from the HP, and in that I did put this heat spreader on it to try and get a little bit more cooling out of it, but I don't know, I didn't really notice a significant difference from it, but we do have to take this off. So these drives don't normally come with this, if you're wondering why this was on here. So now we have the drive itself, and we have the thermal pad, which is going to be going on the actual memory chips over here, not necessarily the controller. NVMEs actually don't perform very well when they're super cooled, so the primary things that you want to try and cool are the actual memory modules, as opposed to the controller. So for this screw here, we're going to be using a Phillips number 0. So that fits in there all right. Now we just have to take the actual NVMe itself and slide it in, and then down, and we want to have this little grommet bracket holder thing, and we're just going to have it chill right in there, and then once it's screwed down, it stays on top to actually hold the NVMe down. So now we can just put the screw in. That's it. It's installed. Now the thermal pad. Now it doesn't matter which way this goes on. What you want to do is actually just make sure that you have it on. Not that it's absolutely necessary, because this just comes with a little flashy, thin aluminum piece, so anything is going to be better. Okay, so now that those are applied, now this enclosure piece, the bottom one with the words at the bottom here, you can take that and we're just going to slide the little adapter bracket in here with the NVMe attached to it. There we go, secured. Now this top piece here, we're just going to put this on very lightly, slide it closed, and then press down. That's going to make sure that the thermal pad is nice and adhered. That's it. We're done. Now, as for me, just for fun, I'm going to take this here, I'm going to stick it on here, and I'm going to line this section up here with the actual screw. That way everything is nice and straight. There we go. So that doesn't look too bad. Nice heat spreader on one side, logo on the other side, USB-C. So now I can show you what we can do with this. It's been a few days. It's booting into Windows right now off of the little adapter thing that we made here, so you can see that it's plugged into the computer. But basically what happened was I was sitting over here building it, and then I came over here to this desk to set it all up, and I went to go turn the GoPro off. And when I went to go hit to stop recording, it didn't actually stop recording. I recorded the entire process of me getting everything ready and setting everything up. And then when I went to go record, once I actually had it ready, I was actually stopping the recording. So I have no footage of the entire thing that I did. So I'm just gonna kind of show you what I did here. This is the Windows install, and if you've been following along, you know that I do not have Windows on this computer. So we are booted off of this drive, which you can see it's flashing for activity, so everything's working. And all I did was I just installed the NZXT CAM software, IQ for Corsair, and then RGB Fusion for Gigabyte, and that covers all of my RGB. So from there, I was able to set all of the colors and everything, get it all the way that I wanted it, and then because all of these get saved like part of the UEFI profile, they all stay set, is essentially my RGB controller OS. So as you can see, all the RGB is set. I just want to show here that the monitor is 75 Hertz. You can see that we are running on this device itself. I call it the Orico SX8200 because it's the Orico adapter with an ADATA SX8200. So we're running off of this. It shows all the system specs. You can see the i9 and everything, 32 gigs of RAM, and then we also have the GTX 1080. The NVIDIA driver has been updated to the latest version. Let's see here. So display adapters right there. We have the 1080 Ti. Everything there is good. It's recognizing everything. All the RGB works. Just for sake of actually showing like how this thing runs, we're gonna just run a benchmark or whatever on Forza. Now this game isn't exactly known as being like a super resource hungry game or anything like that. Like, I mean, it is like a 6th, 7th, 8th gen i7 with like a 1070 should easily be able to get in the ballpark of like 60 to 75 frames per second. This is a 75 Hertz monitor, so I would like to get 75 frames per second, but this is an i9 with a 1080 Ti. We should easily be able to hit that. Just want to show you quick the options that we have here. So under the video settings, I've turned off the dynamic optimization. So in the advanced settings here, I've literally just turned every single thing on. So everything is as high as it can possibly go. The resolution is the full resolution of the monitor. This preview video just cuts off because Forza. So the benchmark will actually be the full width of the ultra wide, and I've turned motion blur off because that's disgusting. So we can go back, everything's good. We're gonna benchmark this. Now just keeping in mind that we're only going to hit 75 frames per second because 75 Hertz monitor. The main thing here is just showing that on this USB drive, we're gonna be hitting 75 frames per second on the absolute highest possible settings that we can. So you can already see it's running really smooth. Go up here to the corner and 75 frames per second. GPU's at like 70, 75, 80. It's kind of fluctuating in there, low 70s, peaking at 80. So we're not even utilizing the full potential of the GPU on this, and we're running off of essentially a Windows to go USB adapter. So like one of the cool things about this is you can put all of your games on this and you can bring it with you wherever you go. So if you're in say like a bigger city or something where you have like cyber cafes and everything, you could just plug this into one of those computers and you could game there without actually having to sign into anything because everything is kept locally on your own storage. Which means you have nothing to worry about any sort of key loggers or anything on the computer that you're using because you're essentially just getting rid of all of their storage to use your own storage. You can see that we hit 75 frames per second without issue. We averaged 100 frames per second on the GPU, and that's with absolutely everything set. Even if this was a 100 Hertz monitor, we still would have hit 100 frames per second locked through this entire benchmark on the absolute highest possible settings that you can get in Forza Horizon 4. Now, given that, you know, there's other games that are going to be more resource hungry and everything, I don't play those, so this is the only one that I'm going to be testing. And the only other game that I play is Halo, but that's more of a nostalgia thing, because that's like the pinnacle of my childhood. So I actually play that with the original graphics, just for the further nostalgia's sake. But obviously, at that point, you're not concerned with graphics at all, so that's more of a wholesome gameplay aspect rather than eye candy. This one here, I do keep absolutely maxed. I can hit the max frame rate of the monitor and everything's fine. And so like I can do all of that from this little USB thing, and I can just bring it with me. And like I'm holding it right now, you can kind of feel a little bit of temperature to it just because of the heatsink on the back, but it's really not that warm at all. This is an amazing addition to pretty much anything. Like even if you run Windows, I would recommend having one of these just on the side, because it's awesome to have, especially if you sign in with your Microsoft account, because then all of your settings get synced over, which means that anything that I change on my new laptop will automatically sync to that as soon as it's connected to the internet, and vice versa. So if I have any save games or anything like that, I can save local save games. I can save them to like Google Drive or OneDrive or whatever that syncs automatically, and then on the laptop they're just automatically there. So I can literally use this seamlessly with my laptop on any desktop globally. This is an awesome addition to my bag. I love this. It's my new toy. And honestly, I really don't have anything bad to say about it. Like even the price is good. It's cheap. I mean, like, okay, so if I had to pick one downfall, and this is really trying to find something wrong here, it's the LED. It's super bright. Like I can like light up the desk with it. So, I mean, maybe being able to turn that off would be cool, but like I'm really trying to find something wrong at that point. That's not an issue at all. Like oh look, okay, perfect. That's not even really an issue anymore. It's like over in the corner. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't affect gaming at all. You can't even see like reflections across the desk or anything that would be distracting from a game. I don't know. It's perfect. I love having this. It's just an awesome tool to have. You could even use it for fixing computers and everything too. But now I'm going to switch back to the previous videos that I had recorded, which was the Linux side, and then we can finish the video up from there. So it's all unhooked now. I've booted back into Linux. Now that all the updates and everything were done on Windows, I installed all the RGB software. I set all of the RGB and everything, and now it's done. So you can see that everything is purple and white. Everything's purple and white. Now the main thing behind this that I wanted to achieve was adjusting the RGB, so that way I have a way to do it, as well as just having a drive that I can have Forza on or Halo or whatever that's Windows specific. And then everything else I'm just going to run on Linux. It's just those very few things that I wanted to run on Windows, but really had no use of having a full partition dedicated to it. Plus this also works in other computers, so if I ever need to bring it with me, I have my full account with software and games and everything ready to go. So that's where this for me was really beneficial. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not using OpenRGB, Gigabyte motherboards, specifically my model and the one right below it, I think that was the Master or the Ultra, I can't remember which one. There's something that you have to enable in the BIOS to allow OpenRGB to control the RGB, and a result of that, there have been a few motherboards that have been bricked. Now, in Canada land, where our money is worth nothing, this motherboard cost me around $1,600 Canadian. I don't really want to gamble with a $1,600 motherboard just to control some lights. So until there's more known working versions of OpenRGB, this is my much cheaper and safer solution to that. Not too bad. I like how this came out, and it works, and all of the RGB stays set after I set it. So on reboots, everything stays. There's no issues. One thing I did notice is that for some reason, my mouse has switched to yellow. I immediately knew what the issue was because this is the second mouse that I've had this happen to. These are the G502s. So I'm now gonna have to buy a third one because I absolutely love this mouse, but for whatever reason, the blue LED for the RGB dies. So this is the second time this has happened where the blue RGB LED died. And because I had this set to white, it's primarily on the green to blue side, so that way it matches because cooler colors or whatever, but now that the blue one died, it's basically just yellow. So that sucks. The only other option that I could have to make this at least sync nicely, because you need blue to make purple, and you need blue to make white, so I can't do anything with that, so I'm just probably going to turn it off, or I'm going to have to go buy another mouse. And I mean, the wireless one is on sale right now, because Black Friday, or whatever, Cyber Monday, so maybe I'll pick that up. I don't know. Anyway, this is the Orico NVMe adapter with an ADATA SX8200. The full Windows 10 install, working perfect. That's my latest toy. I really like that. I'm definitely happy with it. And if you need Windows on the go, fast, reliable, even if you actually use Windows and you just need a different partition for specific files or programs or something that you just don't want on your computer, this is an excellent solution and I highly recommend it. I don't really know what else to say about this thing. Like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you knew all of this already and this was just a giant waste of time for you. Comment down below if there's something that I missed or something that I could have tweaked on to make this a little bit better or faster or something like that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. That always helps out, because then I can buy more stupid stuff like this to make videos on, or don't do any of it. I'm not telling you what to do.